Most people tear this stuff out to save weight. But how much weight does it actually save? And more importantly, is it even worth the effort? I removed all the sound deadening from this car, tested a few different ways to do it, and weighed everything that came out. And the results honestly surprised me. So let's see if the sound deadening is actually worth removing from your car. So what is sound deadening and why is it in your car to begin with? Well, it's this kind of tar-like coating that manufacturers put on cars to help reduce road noise, better insulate the vehicle, and just improve the overall quality of ride. The drawback is the extra weight. While weight is important, it's not the only reason you may want to remove the sound deadening from your car. The sound deadening that's all over the floor in a lot of cars can get in the way if you're trying to fabricate a roll cage, tabs for accessories, mounts, whatever the case may be. It can often get in your way, which means you need to remove it if you plan on building in that area. Another reason you might want to remove this stuff is because it's actually a safety hazard. In fact, some sanctioning bodies, depending on what racing you're doing, may require it to be removed because it can be seen as a fire hazard. Believe it or not, I've actually seen this stuff get hot enough that it can actually catch on fire. If you have an aftermarket set of headers that runs real close to the floorboard, it can heat up the metal enough to heat the sound deadening up enough that it can actually catch on fire. Now that is in extreme cases, but it can happen. And like I said, some rules do require it to be removed. So we know what it is and why we might want to pull it out. Now let's get into a few different methods on how you can actually remove this stuff because there's more ways than one. Now the first and the easiest stuff is going to be this kind of fabric sound deadening. A lot of times this is attached to your carpet. In this case, it was glued to the floor. And this is just another layer of sound deadening. Underneath this, there's more of that tar-like stuff that's actually glued to the floor, and that takes a bit more effort to get out. When it comes to this, there are two main ways to tackle this. It's with fire and ice. They both work, they both have their pros and cons. Let's start with fire. You'll need a torch, some kind of scraper, ideally with a handle, not like this one, and we're just going to heat up a small area and start scraping it off. The fire method. It works, but it's pretty slow, definitely labor intensive, smells terrible, and makes a bit of a mess. This method is best used for areas that are not flat. So if you have sound deadening up on the rear wheel wells, going up your firewall or anything like that, that's where this is going to come into play. You just heat up a little bit at a time, scrape a little at a time, and just keep the process going until eventually it's all off. Once I get some more off, I'll show you how to actually clean up the mess that this makes because you can make it look nice, but it is way more labor intensive than our next method, which is ice. This is a bag of dry ice. This is something you want to be careful with, but it does a great job at removing sound deadening. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in the trunk here. We'll let it sit for just a few minutes. If you are working with dry ice, make sure you're wearing gloves. It can burn your skin. It works the best if you can kind of shove all the dry ice in one area and work your way around, unless you have a ton of it, but this stuff is way more expensive than it used to be. But leaving it in one spot, you can actually hear it starting to crack the sound deadening because it's freezing the adhesive that holds it to the car, and that's what's going to make it easy to remove. Take a listen. As you're moving the dry ice around, grab a hammer and just kind of tap in areas that you've already frozen. And what you should start to see is chunks like this coming off pretty easily and pretty cleanly. There may be some areas that you have to fight a bit more where it kind of curves and goes up and over and maybe the ice doesn't sit perfectly on, but just take your time, move the ice around, and start chipping away at all this stuff. Thanks to dry ice, we did about 90% of the work all on the flat area in about 12 minutes. That's where dry ice really shines, is on big flat areas. So most of your floor pan, most of the trunk, and all of that, you can just throw the dry ice down, move it a little at a time, and chip away at it. Some of it lifted just by hitting it with a hammer and picking it up with my hands. Some of it I had to tap that scraper to kind of get underneath it, and then it would pop out big chunks at a time. Less than 15 minutes, the whole floor of the trunk is done. Well, mostly done. If you just wanted to get some weight out of your car, go out to the track and have a good time, you can call that good enough. For me, it's not done because it doesn't look great. And although looks isn't the goal here, there are ways you can definitely make it look a little bit better by finishing that last 10%. And that's where we can bring the torch back out. So like I said, the torch is gonna work great on areas that the dry ice won't sit. That's why I said not on flat areas. For example, the wheel wells in here, that's the sound deadening, but I can't get dry ice to sit up here. So we'll have to torch and scrape away little areas at a time. And you'll also notice strips like this, chunks like this, wherever there was seam sealer, the sound deadening is going to stick really good to that stuff, regardless of dry ice or anything else like that. So we can heat this up with a torch, scrape it out, make all of this look a lot nicer, and that's what I would call a finished job. So let me show you some tricks on how to do this if you want to go with a torch method, or if you're going to be like I am and take it the extra step to remove all the little areas, because there are some tricks you can do to make this a bit easier than just torching it and scraping it. Now you want to be mindful of things like your wiring and whatever else might be in the way if we're introducing fire into something. So we'll be careful and just do a little at a time. Torch method on just one wheel well took me 13 minutes to do about this much versus 12 or 13 minutes to do the entire trunk with the dry ice. So you can see both methods work. One is way faster and way more efficient than the other, but like I said, on curved areas like this, we can't get the dry ice in there, so we have to use the torch. I will say when you're using the torch, there's kind of a sweet spot with temperature. You can overdo it and pretty much liquefy the stuff, and then it is actually hard to scrape off because it just turns into like chewy gum. If you just get it warm, you can peel it off as like a flexible sheet. So try to find that sweet spot and it'll go a little bit quicker, but regardless, it's way more messy, a lot harder on your hands, but in some areas, you got to do it. So the sound deadening's pretty much out of the trunk now. It took me about 15 minutes to do the trunk floor and about 15 minutes to do each of the wheel wells using the torch. I did realize I'm using a torch, but you can also use a heat gun to do the same thing. It takes a little bit longer to actually heat up, but you have a way lower chance of overheating it and turning it into liquid, which then makes a huge mess, which I did like 10 times with a torch because I'm impatient and wanted it really hot really fast. But let me show you what we've got so far and how we're going to make it look a little bit better, because I don't think you want to leave it looking like this. As far as weight savings goes, we're pretty much done, but you can see there's a lot of glue, residue, just little corners in some of the hard to reach areas that stuck around. So let's clean that up, because if we are going to leave this stripped like this, we don't want it looking like that. For this, you'll need the torch or heat gun you've been using and a wire wheel on a drill. The idea is simple. We're going to use the torch to heat up the area, and then the wire wheel to get it all off. It works. It's time consuming, it's hard on your hands, and you're gonna go through a lot of batteries, but it gets the job done. Now this whole time we've been focusing on the trunk of the car because I wanted to break this up into two parts. If you're like me and building a weekend cruiser, seat time, simple car, you may not need to strip all the sound deadening out of the entire chassis. This is never gonna be a pro car. I have no intention of even caging it, so there's no real need to strip every ounce of sound deadening out of it. But being a weekend cruiser and something I'm still going to bring to the track, it can definitely benefit from some weight savings. So I thought a good middle ground would be just to strip the trunk. So I pulled everything out of the trunk, got it all in this bag here, and we're going to weigh it and see, is it worth it to just strip half of your interior, or should you go and do the whole thing? Don't worry, for science, I'm stripping all the sound deadening out of this car, so we will have a weight for the entire thing, but I thought it'd be interesting to see the split. Here's the trunk all cleaned up. Now let's see how much that weighs. Okay, I just weighed myself, 181.1. Here is the bag of sound deadening just from the trunk. 186.6. If my math is correct, that's 5.5 pounds worth of sound deadening out of just the trunk of the car. Now I will say, while it was only about 45 minutes of work to get most of the weight out, to actually make it look clean, presentable, and close enough to spray some paint over took like another 2 hours. Quick look at the finished product. I'm happy with that. So if you want to go the extra step, there's really no benefit in terms of weight savings. It was all for looks at that point. But you can shave a little over 5 pounds in less than an hour. Is 5 pounds going to be enough to make a difference in a car? Probably not. But if you've gone this far, chances are you stripped the whole trunk of your car already. So you removed a spare tire and all the plastic and all the carpet and all the clips, and there's an antenna and a windshield wiper and a bunch of other stuff back there too. So it wouldn't surprise me if 30 plus pounds came out of the trunk of this car before you even got to the sound deadening. So again, is it worth it? I'll leave that up to you and your specific build. But let's keep moving and see just how much weight we can pull out if we remove the sound deadening from the entire car. A few hours later, we're pretty much done. As you can see, all the sound deadening is out. I still need to do a little bit of cleanup work, but I think we're pretty much done here. I'm pretty happy with how well it's cleaned up. I will say I have changed my methods. Instead of using the drill with the wire wheel, I'm now using a wire wheel on a grinder, plugged in, no batteries. Made this job a lot faster. I will say the driver and passenger compartment did take a lot more time than the trunk, just because the floor is very uneven. It took a lot of moving the dry ice around, trying to get it in all the little nooks and crannies, and it didn't quite work that good outside from the bigger flat areas, which meant removing the sound deadening took quite a bit more time because the dry ice didn't do all of the work. I spent probably an hour on the driver's side and about an hour on the passenger side just getting it all out, and then another 30 to 45 minutes on each side with the grinder wire wheel trying to clean it up. There's still some more cleanup I'd like to do before I can call this officially done, but I can confidently say we got pretty much all the weight out of this thing. So all that's left now is to see how much weight we actually pulled out, and then we can try to figure out, was it even worth it? In this bag is the sound deadening out of this entire Nissan 350Z, the trunk, driver, and passenger compartment, and it's time to see how much all of it weighs. So just weighed myself again. I'm 180.6. Then we'll grab our bag here. 191.8. Well, the verdict is in. 11.2 pounds from the sound deadening from the trunk and the driver and passenger compartments. Honestly, that is less than I thought. Now, it didn't take a ton of work, all things considered. I have maybe 4 or 5 hours into all this. So to shave 11-ish pounds in that kind of time, it's not bad, but do keep in mind, this is just based off of a 350Z. Your car may be completely different. If you have a 4-door car or a different brand car where they like to use a lot of sound deadening, things could be different. Nissan didn't use a ton of sound deadening in this 350Z, so it makes sense that there wouldn't be a ton of weight to pull out. But like I mentioned earlier, there are more benefits than just weight savings. If I ever wanted to cage this car, now the floor is clear and we can do that. If I ever had to fabricate mounts for accessories like a fire suppression system or an oil tank or whatever, again, the sound deadening's out of the way. So there are still pros, even if the weight savings wasn't huge. And at the end of the day, weight out of your car is still going to help no matter how small it is. But I definitely wouldn't put removing sound deadening at the top of a priority list if I was building a car. Unless, of course, it was a high-level race car, whether it's drifting, time attack, or anything else. At that point, you might as well. Is this something you think is worth putting the time and energy into? Ultimately, I think it depends on what your build is for. On a simple weekend cruiser and occasional track use car, I don't think it's that important. On a purpose-built race car, I think it's absolutely necessary. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.